And there's a secret no one tells you about the bedroom. It's not really about what happens between the sheets. It's about what happens between two hearts, long before the lights go out. Love, respect, and intimacy, they're not separate things. They're threads of the same fabric, woven together in the quiet moments of trust, kindness, and sacrifice. The truth is, the bedroom is a mirror. It reflects the strength or weakness of the relationship beyond it. When love is poured out daily, in the small gestures, in forgiveness and patience, in words that lift rather than tear down, intimacy becomes a natural outflow. But when love is replaced by resentment, when respect is eroded by criticism, intimacy doesn't just suffer, it retreats. Love without respect is fragile. Respect without love is cold. A marriage that honors both creates a place of safety where intimacy can grow freely. And here's the thing, intimacy was never meant to be a demand. It was meant to be a gift. The moment one partner expects or pressures the other, the gift loses its beauty. But when intimacy is offered freely, out of a heart that feels cherished, it becomes not an obligation, but a joy. The bedroom is not just a physical space. It's far more than a place where bodies meet. It's a reflection of something deeper, something invisible yet powerful. It mirrors the emotional and spiritual trust between two people. What happens in that room is shaped not just by physical attraction, but by the foundation of love, respect, and vulnerability that's been built outside of it. Too often, people think intimacy is purely about physical desire, about fulfilling a need, or chasing a feeling. But real intimacy, the kind that lasts, the kind that satisfies, comes from a deeper place. It comes from trust, from the quiet assurance that I am safe with you, that I am seen, that I am valued beyond what I can give you in return. It's knowing that my heart, my fears, my insecurities, and my hopes are handled with care. When that trust is present, the bedroom becomes a sanctuary. It's not just a place for physical connection. It becomes a place where two souls reaffirm their commitment, where love is spoken without words. But when trust is broken, when respect is lacking, when love feels conditional, the bedroom starts to feel cold. Intimacy withers in the absence of emotional safety. You can't fake closeness in a space that reflects distance. That's why what happens outside the bedroom matters just as much, if not more, than what happens inside. Every moment of kindness, every apology, every act of forgiveness, every time you choose to listen rather than defend, these are the bricks that build trust. They create the environment where intimacy can flourish naturally. Now, that groundwork, physical closeness, becomes mechanical or even burdensome. But with it, every touch carries meaning. Every embrace speaks love. It's easy to focus on techniques, on advice, on external things to fix intimacy. But no amount of strategy can replace emotional and spiritual trust. True intimacy can't be pressured or manipulated. It grows in the soil of love that's patient, love that's kind, love that doesn't keep score. It grows when both partners know that they are loved not because of what they do, but simply because of who they are. Spiritual trust deepens this even further. When two people share faith, when they pray together, when they hold each other accountable not just to each other, but to something greater, their bond is strengthened. They're not just living for themselves. They're building something sacred. That spiritual unity spills over into every part of their relationship, including the bedroom. When you know your partner's soul, their body becomes even more beautiful because you're not just connecting skin to skin, you're connecting heart to heart, spirit to spirit. But trust takes time. It takes consistency. It takes showing up for each other even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. It takes humility to admit when you're wrong and courage to forgive. It takes creating a space where both people can be vulnerable without fear of rejection or ridicule. And when that kind of trust is built, intimacy stops feeling like an obligation or a chore. It becomes a joy, a celebration of the love you've nurtured together. The truth is, the bedroom is never isolated from the rest of the relationship. It reflects back what's happening in your communication, your respect, your love. If intimacy feels distant, the answer isn't always to work harder in the bedroom. Sometimes the answer is to ask, are we building trust outside of it? Are we creating safety, kindness, respect in the way we speak to each other, the way we handle conflict, the way we prioritize each other's hearts? When love and respect are alive in every part of the relationship, intimacy stops being something you perform and starts being something you experience. It becomes a natural overflow of two people who have chosen every day to love each other well, and in that sacred space, intimacy transforms from something purely physical into something holy, something healing, something deeply human and profoundly beautiful. Love and respect must coexist for intimacy to thrive. paths. You cannot separate the two without weakening the foundation of a relationship. Love without respect becomes fragile, insecure, and easily wounded. Respect without love feels cold, distant, and transactional. But when love and respect walk side by side, they create an environment where intimacy can flourish. An intimacy that goes far beyond the physical, reaching into the emotional and spiritual depths of a relationship. It's not enough to simply love someone. Love says, I care about you, I want to be close to you, but respect says, I honor you, I value your thoughts, your boundaries, your dignity. Love draws us near, but respect holds us there. Without respect, love can easily turn into control, manipulation, or entitlement. And when that happens, intimacy suffers. Because true intimacy can only happen in a space where both people feel safe, valued, and honored. In many relationships, we focus so much on loving well that we forget the power of respecting well. We think love is the highest goal. But love without respect leaves gaps. If I say I love you, but I dismiss your feelings, interrupt your thoughts, belittle your dreams, or ignore your needs, how long before that love feels empty? How long before it feels one-sided? Respect is the invisible force that sustains love over time. It's what makes love trustworthy, reliable, safe. And in the bedroom, this matters more than we often realize. Intimacy isn't just physical closeness. It's emotional vulnerability. It's the willingness to let someone see you fully, to be known without shame. And that level of vulnerability requires a deep sense of respect. If I fear being judged, criticized, or rejected, I will hold back. My walls will stay up. But if I know I am respected, if I know my boundaries matter, my voice matters, my feelings matter, then I can relax into intimacy. I can show up fully without fear. Many couples struggle with intimacy not because of physical problems, but because of broken respect. Somewhere along the way, harsh words were spoken. Trust was violated, needs were ignored, and every time respect erodes, intimacy withdraws. You can't build closeness on a foundation that feels unsafe. That's why restoring respect is often the first step toward restoring intimacy. It means relearning how to listen without defensiveness, how to speak with kindness, how to apologize when we've hurt each other, how to honor each other's needs, even when they're different from our own. That respect also means seeing your partner as a whole person, not just a role. It means honoring their dreams, their struggles, their identity. It means making space for their growth, even when it challenges your comfort. And when respect and love work together like this, they create a powerful synergy. Love fuels compassion, respect fuels understanding. Love gives warmth, respect gives stability. Together, they create the perfect soil for intimacy to grow. It's important to realize that respect isn't something we show only in big moments. It's built in the small, daily choices. It's in how we speak when we're frustrated. It's in how we listen when we're busy. It's in whether we keep promises, whether we admit mistakes, whether we follow through on commitments. These small acts of respect build trust over time. And trust is the bridge that intimacy walks across. When a relationship is filled with both love and respect, intimacy stops being something we chase or fight for. It becomes a natural outflow. It becomes the joyful, honest, vulnerable connection between two people who know they are safe with each other. It stops being transactional and starts being transformational. At the end of the day, intimacy doesn't thrive because we get everything right in the bedroom. It thrives because we've chosen to love deeply and respect consistently outside of it. It thrives because we've created a relationship where both people feel honored, cherished, and heard. And in that environment, intimacy doesn't just survive, it grows, it deepens. It becomes something beautiful and lasting. Intimacy is not a demand. It's a gift freely given. The moment we start seeing intimacy as something we're owed, something we can take, or something we deserve simply because of our role in a relationship, we lose the very heart of what intimacy is meant to be. True intimacy isn't something you can force. It isn't something you can pressure into existence. It's something that flows from love, trust, and a deep desire to give, not just to get. In a healthy relationship, intimacy is an offering. It's one person saying, I choose to share myself with you. I choose to be vulnerable, to let you in, to trust you with the parts of me I don't show the world. And that choice must be free. It must be born out of safety, not obligation. When intimacy is demanded, it becomes a duty, a task, a transaction. But when it's freely given, it becomes a joy, a celebration, an expression of love that deepens connection. Many people misunderstand this. They believe that intimacy is a right that comes with marriage or with commitment or with time. But intimacy doesn't come with a guarantee. It must be nurtured. It must be invited, not required. It must feel safe, not pressured. You can't shame someone into intimacy. You can't guilt them into closeness. And if you try, you may get compliance, but you won't get connection. Because intimacy that's coerced is not intimacy at all. The secret is this. When both partners focus on giving rather than taking, intimacy naturally grows. When each person asks, how can I bless you? How can I make you feel safe, loved, cherished? The environment changes. Walls come down. Hearts open. Intimacy stops being something we have to give and starts being something we want to give. Because we feel seen, we feel respected, we feel loved in ways that invite us to respond with love in return. There's also a profound trust involved in giving intimacy. It requires believing that the other person will hold that gift with care, that they won't take advantage of our vulnerability. And that trust is built day by day in small acts of kindness, in consistent respect, in honest communication. When trust is strong, intimacy feels natural. But when trust is broken, intimacy feels risky. That's why we can't just expect intimacy to happen in a vacuum. We have to cultivate the soil that allows it to grow. If we approach intimacy with entitlement, we poison that soil. We make it harder, not easier, for closeness to flourish. But if we approach intimacy with gratitude, with the mindset that I'm honored by what you share with me and I will never take it for granted, we create a space where intimacy becomes a gift both people are excited to give. This applies not just to physical intimacy, but to emotional intimacy as well. Opening up emotionally is a risk. Sharing our fears, our failures, our dreams, it's a vulnerable act. And just like physical intimacy, emotional intimacy must never be demanded. It must be invited through listening, through patience, through creating a space where it's safe to be real. In the end, the healthiest intimacy is mutual. It's two people who choose every day to give to each other, not because they're obligated, but because they're loved. Not because they fear losing approval, but because they delight in the closeness they share. And this kind of intimacy is far more fulfilling, far more joyful, far more lasting than anything driven by duty or expectation. So if intimacy feels distant, the answer isn't to push harder or demand more. The answer is to ask, how can I love better? How can I respect more deeply? How can I create safety, trust, and kindness in this relationship? Because when love and respect fill the space between two people, intimacy will always find its way in. It doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't need to be taken. It will be freely, joyfully given, because that's what intimacy was always meant to be. Spiritual intimacy strengthens physical intimacy in ways that many people overlook. It's easy to think of intimacy as purely physical, a connection of bodies, an act of desire. But real intimacy goes deeper than that. It's not just about physical closeness. It's about a bond of trust, respect, and shared purpose. And when two people nurture their spiritual connection, their physical intimacy doesn't just improve, it becomes richer, more meaningful, more fulfilling. Spiritual intimacy begins with sharing the deepest parts of ourselves, our faith, our values, our hopes, our fears, our questions. It's about walking together towards something greater than ourselves. It's about praying together, encouraging each other, holding each other accountable, and lifting each other up. And when we connect spiritually, we're saying, I see your soul, and I love you not just for what you do or how you look, but for who you truly are. And that kind of connection lays the strongest foundation for intimacy in every other part of the relationship. In many relationships, physical intimacy struggles because emotional and spiritual intimacy have been neglected. We can't expect deep, joyful physical connection if we're not also connecting on the deeper levels of heart and soul. Physical closeness without spiritual closeness can feel empty, even unfulfilling. But when we nurture spiritual intimacy, physical intimacy becomes an expression of that deeper bond. It's no longer just an act. It's a celebration of the love and unity we've built together. Spiritual intimacy creates safety. It builds trust. When we know our partner is walking with integrity, when we see their faith in action, when we share the same values and direction, we feel secure. And security is essential for intimacy. We can't fully open ourselves to someone we don't trust. We can't fully give ourselves to someone we fear will hurt or abandon us. Spiritual intimacy reassures us. We are in this together. We are anchored in something bigger than ourselves. That reassurance allows us to be vulnerable, to let down our walls, to experience physical intimacy without fear or hesitation. Couples who pray together, read scripture together, serve together, and pursue God together often find that their physical connection grows stronger as well. Why? Because they're building a partnership that goes beyond circumstances or feelings. They're cultivating a love that's patient, kind, forgiving, and selfless. The very qualities that make physical intimacy sweeter and more meaningful. Spiritual intimacy also teaches us to see our partner as a whole person, not an object or a means to an end. It reminds us that their body is a sacred gift, not something to be used or taken for granted. When we honor our partners spiritually, we honor them physically. We become more tender, more patient, more attentive to their needs. We seek not just our own pleasure, but their joy, their comfort, their fulfillment. And this mutual honoring transforms physical intimacy from something transactional into something sacred. There's also a deep sense of peace that comes with spiritual intimacy. Life will bring challenges. There will be seasons of stress, conflict, and uncertainty. But when two people are spiritually connected, they have a source of strength beyond themselves. They can turn to faith when things get hard. They can pray together through difficulties. And that spiritual resilience spills over into their physical relationship, helping them stay close even when circumstances try to pull them apart. Physical intimacy is often a reflection of the emotional and spiritual health of a relationship. If there's distance spiritually, it can show up physically. But when two people are drawing closer to God, they are also drawing closer to each other. Their hearts are softened, their love deepens, their capacity for compassion, forgiveness, and grace expands. And as their souls unite, their bodies follow naturally and beautifully. In the end, spiritual intimacy isn't separate from physical intimacy. It strengthens it. It gives it depth, purpose, and joy. It transforms physical closeness from a momentary act into a lifelong expression of love, unity, and devotion. And when a relationship is built on that kind of foundation, intimacy doesn't just survive, it flourishes, growing richer and stronger with every passing year. Communication is the bridge between frustration and fulfillment. It's the pathway that takes us from misunderstanding to clarity, from loneliness to connection, from unmet needs to shared satisfaction. Without communication, even the strongest relationships begin to crumble under the weight of unspoken expectations and unresolved tensions. But with honest, compassionate communication, we create a space where love can thrive, where intimacy deepens, and where frustration transforms into fulfillment. Many relationships don't suffer from a lack of love. They suffer from a lack of communication. We assume our partner knows what we feel, what we need, what we hope for, or we assume they should know without us having to say it. But the truth is, no one can read our mind. Silence creates distance. Unspoken resentment grows into bitterness. And every time we hold back, we build a wall, brick by brick, between ourselves and the person we love. Communication tears those walls down. It invites honesty. It says, I'm willing to let you see me. Not just the good parts, but the parts that are scared, insecure, or struggling. That kind of vulnerability is the foundation of intimacy. Because intimacy isn't just about sharing bodies, it's about sharing hearts. It's about saying, here's what I feel. Here's what I need. Here's what I hope for. Will you meet me here? When we don't communicate, frustration builds. We start to assume the worst. We fill in the blanks with negative stories. We believe our partner doesn't care, doesn't listen, doesn't love us the way we need. But so often, the problem isn't a lack of love. It's a lack of clarity. Our needs remain hidden. Our pain goes unspoken. And little by little, we drift apart, not because we stopped loving, but because we stopped sharing. Communication brings us back together. It reconnects us. It allows us to understand not just what the other person is saying, but what they're feeling beneath the words. And that understanding is powerful. Because when we feel understood, we feel loved, we feel safe, we feel valued. And from that place of safety, we're able to give love more freely, to receive love more fully, to build a relationship that doesn't just survive, but fulfills us on every level. But communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening. It's about setting aside our defenses, our assumptions, our desire to win the conversation. It's about creating space for the other person's heart to be heard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when we don't agree. Listening says, I care more about understanding you than proving my point. And that humility opens doors that arguing or silence never could. In the bedroom, communication is just as crucial. Intimacy suffers when needs go unspoken, when desires are hidden out of fear or shame, when disappointments are buried instead of addressed. We can't expect fulfillment if we're unwilling to speak honestly. But when we communicate openly about what we love, what we need, what makes us feel safe, we build a deeper connection. Physical intimacy becomes not just an act, but an expression of trust and care. Communication also helps us navigate conflict. Every relationship will face disagreements. Every couple will experience moments of frustration. But communication keeps us from getting stuck there. It gives us tools to work through issues, to seek solutions instead of blame, to move forward instead of staying stuck in resentment. It reminds us that we're on the same team fighting for each other, not against each other. When we communicate well, frustration becomes a signal, not a dead end. It becomes a prompt to lean in, to ask questions, to clarify needs, to repair what's broken. And as we do, we find fulfillment not because every problem disappears, but because we face them together. We stop guessing, we stop assuming, we start understanding. And understanding is the key that unlocks deeper love, greater trust, and lasting intimacy. In the end, communication isn't just a skill, it's an act of love. It's a daily choice to open the door, to invite the other person in, to bridge the gap between what frustrates us and what fulfills us. And every time we choose to communicate with honesty, patience, and care, we build a relationship that doesn't just last, but one that truly satisfies both hearts.